I'm Mrs. Bland, and our objective today as learners is to solve problems involving elapsed time using hours and minutes within a 24-hour time period. Elapsed time is so important. We use it every single day. How, you might ask? Let me give you an example. On a school day, your alarm might go off at 6 a.m. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you eat breakfast, you might take the bus to school. When you arrive at school, you have a lot of learning to do. You have math class, you go to resource like art or PE, you have science, reading, you go to lunch, then after you might go to recess. At the end of the day, it's time to go home. When you get home, if it's a beautiful day like today, you might play outside, have your snack, get your homework done, and then all of a sudden it's 6:30 p.m. The amount of time that has passed or elapsed from the moment that you woke up until now is called elapsed time. And we're gonna work on that today, and I need your help. I have a lot of errands to run. I need to drop off some letters at the post office. I need to donate some books to our local little library, get some exercise in at the park, and then I'm gonna return home. Right now it's 8:50 a.m. And when I return home, we're going to determine the amount of time that passed from the moment that I left until the moment that I arrived back. Let's go. And I'm back. It is now 11:25 a.m. And we're gonna sit down and I'm gonna show you some strategies that I use when determining the elapsed time. So first, I like to draw an organizer to keep everything together, and that way I can tell what's missing. So it has 3 boxes, just like this. I put my start, my elapsed, and my end. So I know that I began my errands at 8:50 a.m. The middle box is the amount of time that elapsed, and then I have my end. If I'm trying to think of what I know that I arrived back home and my errands were over at 11:25 a.m. So what's missing and what I need to find out is the amount of time that elapsed from the start of my errands until I had finished them. So I'm gonna put a big question mark here. There's 2 strategies I like to use. The first strategy is a number line. So I have my start and my end. When I refer back to my graphic organizer, since I know my start time, I'm gonna write it up here, 8:50 a.m. And since I know my end time, I'm gonna write it down here, 11:25 a.m. I'm gonna use mountains to show hours, and then I'm gonna use hills to show minutes. I'm gonna abbreviate my minutes. The first mountain that I'm gonna go is gonna be 1 hour. Because if I jump from 8:50 to 1 hour, I will now be at 9:50 a.m. If I were to jump another mountain, which is an hour, I will be at 10:50 a.m. If I were to draw another mountain and jump another hour, I would then be at 11:50, and that's past my end time. A mistake I do not want to make is to go past my end time, because I'm just trying to figure out the amount of time that passed from the start until my end. So instead, I'm going to switch over to minutes. I know that there are 60 minutes in an hour, and I'm at 10:50. So I'm only 10 minutes away until my next hour. So I'm going to draw my mountain, or my hills, sorry, don't want to confuse those two. And I'm going to write 10 minutes. I am now at 11 a.m. So I'm still working in the a.m. If I jump another 10 minutes, drawing my hill, I'm at 11:10 a.m. I can jump another 10 minutes and I will be at 11:20 a.m., which is still before my end time. If I were to draw another 10-minute hill, I would be at 11:30 a.m., which is past my end time. So instead, I'm going to draw a little bit of a smaller hill to show a smaller increment of time, and going to jump 5 minutes instead, which would put me at 11:25 a.m., which is my end time. I can then look back at my number line to determine the amount of time that elapsed from start to end. Since I have 2 mountains, I have 2 hours. And I kept track of it by writing it right above it, 1 hour and 1 hour. With my hills, I have 10, 20, 30 minutes, or 10 plus 10 plus 10, which would be 30 minutes. And then this 5-minute hill, which would put me at 35 minutes. Looking back at my organizer, that's the section that's missing. So I can go ahead and fill this in to 2 hours and 35 minutes. Another strategy to use is going to be a T-chart. I know my start time is 8:50 a.m. And I can keep track of the amount of time that elapsed right here under start. If I were to jump 1 hour, I'm at 9:50 a.m. I can jump another hour, I will be at 10:50 a.m. I know above from my number line that I cannot jump another hour because I would be past my end time. So instead, I'm going to switch to minutes. 10 minutes, I will now be at 11 a.m. I can jump another 10 minutes, and I will be at 11:10 a.m. And I'm keeping track of it all right here. I can jump another 10 minutes, and I will be at 11:20 a.m. If I jump another 10 minutes, I will be past my end time. So instead, I'm going to switch to smaller increment of time, which is 5 minutes. And I am now at 11:25 a.m., which is my end time. So if I were to then look over here, my elapsed time, and calculate it, I have 2 hours, 10, 20, 30, and then your 5 minutes, which would be 35 minutes. Referring back to my graphic organizer, that's the same thing that I got for my number line. So either one of these strategies work. Using this graphic organizer is very important because it helps you keep track of what you know. When you read a problem, you can then decide whether you know your start time, your elapsed time, or your end time. Sometimes you may know your end time, but not your start time, or you may know your start time, but not your end time. So this is a great strategy to use to then go ahead and know what I need to do next. This activity supports the Henrico Learner Profile because we were critical thinkers today while determining the elapsed time while I was running my errands. You can also be a creative thinker, which supports the Henrico Learner Profile, at home by creating your own schedule and then determining your elapsed time throughout your day. Thanks for joining me today.